American Airlines Flight 965 was minutes from landing when its crew flew a perfectly good aircraft into a mountain. December 20th, 1995, Miami International Airport. A Boeing 757-2223, registration N651AA, pushed back from gate D40, bound for Alfonso Bonilla Aragon International Airport in Cali, Colombia. American Airlines Flight 965 carried 155 passengers and 8 crew members. Many were families heading home for the holidays. The flight crew consisted of Captain Nicholas Tafuri, 57, a veteran with over 13,000 flight hours, and First Officer Donald Williams, 39, with more than 5,800 hours. Both were experienced pilots. The weather in Cali was clear. Visibility was good. It should have been a routine arrival. Flight 965 departed Miami 2 hours late due to a delayed inbound aircraft. The flight south over the Caribbean and into Colombian airspace was uneventful. As the 757 began its descent toward Cali, the crew contacted Cali Approach Control. The controller offered them a straight-in approach to runway 19. The crew accepted. That decision changed everything. The crew had been expecting the longer, standard approach from the north, the Rosso 1 arrival, which would route them over the Tulua VOR and then south to the runway. But the straight-in approach from their current position required a very different navigation sequence. The crew now had to reprogram the flight management computer. Quickly. At approximately 38 local time, the crew attempted to program the new approach into the FMC. The controller had cleared them direct to the Rosso VOR, the final approach fix. Captain Tafuri typed the letter R into the FMC to search for Rosso. The computer returned a list of waypoints beginning with R. The first entry was not Rosso. It was Romeo, the identifier for the Bogotá VOR, located 132 nautical miles to the northeast. The captain selected the first option, Romeo, and executed the entry. The 757's autopilot obediently turned the aircraft, but it did not turn south toward the runway. It turned east, directly toward the Andes. The aircraft was at 11,000 feet, descending, now flying perpendicular to its intended course. The mountains ahead rose to over 12,000 feet. Neither pilot immediately recognized the turn. The cockpit was busy. They were configuring the aircraft for approach, setting speeds, briefing the landing, running checklists. The night was dark. The terrain below was unlit. There was no visual reference to indicate they had deviated from the valley. For nearly a minute, the 757 flew east toward rising terrain without correction. At 21:41 and 28 seconds, the ground proximity warning system activated. The synthetic voice filled the cockpit. "Terrain, terrain, pull up, pull up!" First Officer Williams called out the warning. Captain Tafuri immediately disconnected the autopilot and pulled back on the control column. He advanced the throttles to maximum power, but the speed brakes were still deployed. They had been extended during the descent and never retracted. The extended spoilers on the wings dramatically reduced the aircraft's climb rate. Even at full power, the 757 could not gain altitude fast enough. The flight data recorder showed a climb rate far below what the aircraft was capable of. Those spoilers cost them hundreds of feet per minute, feet they desperately needed. The CVR captured the final seconds. The GPWS continued its warnings. The crew pulled the nose up aggressively. The aircraft climbed, but not enough. At 21:42 and 29 seconds local time, American Airlines Flight 965 struck the trees on the east slope of El Diluvio, a mountain ridge at approximately 8 to 1,900 feet elevation. The aircraft was traveling at 240 knots. the 757 broke apart on impact. The wreckage scattered across the steep, forested mountainside at an elevation of approximately 1,900 feet near the town of Buga. Of the 163 people on board, 159 perished. 4 passengers survived, all seated in the rear of the aircraft. They were found by rescue teams who reached the remote crash site the following morning. The 4 survivors, including a 6-year-old girl and her father, suffered serious injuries. They had been protected by the rear fuselage section, which came to rest against the mountainside. The girl's mother did not survive. The Colombian Red Cross and military coordinated the difficult recovery operation in the rugged terrain over the following days. The investigation was led by the Aeronautica Civil y Militar of Colombia, with participation from the NTSB and Boeing. Both the flight data recorder and cockpit voice recorder were recovered from the wreckage. The FDR revealed the precise moment the aircraft turned east. The CVR captured the crew's confusion as they attempted to reprogram the FMC under time pressure. Investigators determined the primary cause was the flight crew's failure to adequately plan and execute the approach, and their failure to discontinue the approach when they became confused by the FMC programming. The selection of the incorrect waypoint, Romeo instead of Rosso, sent the aircraft off course. But the deeper issue was that the FMC database listed the Bogotá NDB as R, while Rosso was listed as Rosso. Contributing factors included the crew's failure to retract the speed brakes during the escape maneuver, the lack of minimum safe altitude warnings in the FMC for the Cali area, and the high workload created by the last-minute runway change. Investigators also noted that the Cali approach controller did not have radar. He could not see the aircraft's deviation. The crash of Flight 965 became one of the most studied accidents in aviation history. It fundamentally changed how the industry thought about automation, navigation databases, and crew awareness in mountainous terrain. The FAA mandated that all commercial aircraft operating in the United States be equipped with Enhanced Ground Proximity Warning Systems, gpws, which use GPS and terrain databases to provide earlier warnings. Airlines worldwide revised their FMC training programs. Pilots were taught to verify each waypoint on the navigation display before executing. The concept of automation surprise entered the training lexicon. New procedures required crews to immediately retract speed brakes during any GPWS escape maneuver. These changes have since prevented countless controlled flight into terrain accidents. A memorial stands near the crash site on El Diluvio. 159 people left Miami that evening and never arrived. Their loss forced an industry to confront the hidden dangers of the technology it had come to trust. Flight 965 proved that the most advanced aircraft in the world will fly exactly where you tell it to, even if you tell it wrong. If this story reminded you that technology is only as safe as the humans who use it, consider subscribing. Every accident has a lesson. Every lesson can save a life.